Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Now That You Mention It podcast with Roll J and RJ.
I'm Roll.
I'm Jay,
And of course, I'm RJ.
and we just want to say thank you to everybody. We appreciate all the love and support, all the feedback, all the comments. I mean, it really helps us to continue to do this thing. We really would love, the opportunity to continue to do this thing for you guys. So if you're watching on our Facebook page, if you wouldn't mind clicking that bell, hit the like and subscribe button. That way you get, warnings when our new content comes out. Check out all of our social media pages. You can check out our sound stuff first on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. Then go check out the social. Check out the Facebook, the Insta, the TikTok, the what am I missing? Twitter and Reddit.
TikTok. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you
Reddit.
said TikTok.
And then if you're just like me and you're just lazy, RJ has all this set up on Now That You Mention It.org page where you can go check out all of our content. You can also find our merch button there. Click that merch button. Go get you some merch.
Hey, Cowboy fans.
Yeah, well, you can't find cowboy merch there. Sorry.
I think
How about
Jay was working on, now that you mention it, Yetis.
Dude, if I'm getting a Now That You Mention It Yeti, I'm the only one that's going to have it. It's going to be an exclusive.
I can order it. I know how to order it.
You can try. Seeing as I hold all the patents to the Now That You Mention It logo.
You would have to know that I have it.
I'm gonna make Now That You Mention It crypto. I'm gonna be NYTMI crypto coins. It's gonna have RJ's picture on the face of the coin.
I better get
Wow,
70%.
RJ, well, if he uses your likeness, RJ, you got a lawsuit.
Yep.
Oh, you're gonna be on the other side, so. But on the other side, the picture
I got my attorney on speed dial, brother.
You better call Saul. That's your attorney.
Huh?
Is that your attorney? Better call Saul.
Brian Longcar.
Rudy Giuliani.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Boys, how y'all doing tonight?
Good, man. Good. We're doing all right. But as I understand, you're a little hot under the collar. So,
Man,
we're gonna give you the forum, let you get what you got to say out the way.
first of all, okay. Unfortunately, my wife's Facebook got hacked, and she was locked out of her account. Whoever hacked her account went in and changed her email address and apparently changed the phone number to where you can get the retrieval codes to try to change your email back. And unfortunately, we have become so tied to social media. And I think, Ro, you kind of have the right idea, man. This is the way we should go. We need to stay off the damn social media. But, it's kind of a panic moment when you realize you can't get into that, into your Facebook page. And not just because it's social media, but the fact that it's like a storage unit for you. I mean, she's got, she's had the same Facebook since 2005. So 16 years. Worth of pictures, worth of memories, worth of all the stuff that you can't, you'll never be able to replace if you lose it all. And then the fact that there's all kinds of personal information on there. So, immediately after we found out, I had her go through and change her banking logins, change all the rest of her social media logins, email logins, all that good stuff, just to try to prevent, this guy from getting any information and coming in on anything else. But that's not what I'm ranting about. I mean, that's bad enough. That kind of upset me this morning. But my biggest rant is with Facebook, period. Mark Zuckerberg,
You're attacking big tech.
I don't give a shit. Mark Zuckerberg, you're an asshole.
Oh,
dude. Look, it should not be so hard to contact Facebook to fix a problem like this. There is no posted phone numbers. no posted email addresses that anybody can go to and say, hey, I have a problem. Like there should be a tech email address, a helpline or something. They have a help page, but it's just an endless loop of the same crap over and over. Well, did you try this? No, we didn't think to try that in the first place. Did you try, saying you forgot your password? What do you think we did? Did you try sending a code to your email address into your phone? Well, she no longer has access to that because the guy who took over her Facebook account changed it all. So it's just a roundabout. You keep doing the same. You go to a different page and it tells you the same exact information. And there's no, hey, we're here to help and support you. Send us an email. Let's see if we can't figure this out. And I'm sure it's because they would be getting millions of emails a day. I get that. But damn it, there's got to be a way, man. There has to be a better way than to just get. It's like, have you guys ever been frustrated by getting on an endless call tree? Like when you call a business or something and press 9 and it sends you to this department, press 7 to send you back to the next department. And there's no way for you to get through to a live person.
Or they short circuit you by just simply saying they only give you two options, right? The first one is to dial 0 for the operator, which that doesn't even go to a live person, it just goes to a pre-recorded message. Or it says press 9 for a dial by name directory. The problem is you don't know who the hell you're calling, because if you're calling for general customer support, how do you know what name to dial? You just start pushing numbers and stuff. I don't know, but yeah, keep going. Yeah,
but for one of the biggest tech companies in the world, like you said, RJ, and the fact that on the backs of his customers, Mark Zuckerberg has become a multi-billionaire. You would think that they would have some kind of protocols in place to get this thing squared away, but there just isn't, man. It's ridiculous. I spent 2 hours trying to figure out a way to get in touch with somebody from Facebook. I reported issues on her account. I've done all these things that it says to do. And here we are. It's 8:40 at night. And this all started about 9 o'clock this morning. And I've yet to get a response from anybody at Facebook on this problem. There's no way for me to email anybody because there's no email addresses to be found on their website, on Google. I went through and I Googled, man, give me a phone number. Nothing. Give me an email address. Nothing. Like there's nothing.
Probably all working from home, bro. So,
I get that, man.
Go door to door and just ask, hey, do you work at Facebook?
I don't know what I got to do. I don't know if I got to fly out.
We'll put a camera crew.
Where's Facebook's headquarters at? I don't even know where their headquarters is. Maybe I need to just fly out there and knock on the front door and go, hey, can y'all help me get to my wife's account? Sorry. I'll bleep it out later.
Yeah, bleep that out.
But, dude, it is a pain in the ass. And this is the thing, that this is your personal data. Mm-hmm. And I get it but that's the problem. If your account gets hijacked and you get locked out of your own account, there's no recourse for us to try to fix this on our own. Somebody has to be able to help us with this thing, but there's no way to get any answer from any support from anybody. It's just, man, it's frustrating as hell.
No, I'm sure it is, bro, and I'm certainly sorry that Diana and you're having to go through this frustrating experience. And I think part of the reason that, I'm not going to say that's part of the reason why I avoid social media.
Yeah.
The true reason about social media is my patience level is extremely low for idiocracy. Right. And I feel like, I feel like that's all these platforms have become. It's just become a mouthpiece for people who either want to stir controversy, or B, that really don't have common sense. And I think their messages, the messages of negativity, far outweigh and drown out the positive messages. And my philosophy in life is I don't have time for that. I really don't. I mean, if you want to be negative, but go be negative over there. Not here. And one of the ways that I can control that is really to control my exposure to social media. Now, I know, to be honest with you, that in a lot of ways in today's world, if you really want to be, gain popularity, or, you know, have active social presence, you're supposed to be a lot more active.
Well, and especially for what she does for a living.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You know,
of course.
because unfortunately, social media has become such an integral part of the way we market ourselves,
Right.
market our businesses, and in the beauty industry, social media is everything. Pictures, videos, because you want as many people out there to see pictures of your work, of what you've done, of what you can create in order to draw more business to you.
Mm-hmm.
And social media has become such an indelible part of her life because of that. And unfortunately, we're to a point in time in life, in human life, where that cannot be separated at the moment. Now, I'm sure in the future, maybe, Mad Max Thunderdome happens and social media no longer becomes it becomes a moot point. But for right now, it's very hard for somebody to separate themselves from social media, especially when it comes to business.
Mm-hmm.
More and more companies out there are leaning on social media, especially to communicate with younger generations, with the millennials,
Mm-hmm.
to try, and that's how they draw business. I mean, there's no longer a Fortune 500 company out there that doesn't have a social media presence. There just isn't. All your big companies have to have that, and they depend on it because this is the way that people, as they come into their
Well,
adult lives, are communicating now.
right, and that's how you create the opportunity for all these
Scammers.
well, not what I was going to say is influencers, right?
Oh yeah.
That's how these
Well,
people
they're scammers
evolve.
too, lookers.
I think I agree with you on that. But beside that, um, the other thing too is that you always hear that you need to be extremely careful with what personal information
Yeah.
you put on all these platforms. But I also know it's very, very easy to get caught up in wanting to give as much information as you can, and it's very easy for you to, or anyone, to just to make a slight mistake and put some information out there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you have these people that have nothing better to do but either A, to create havoc, or B, they're just trying to they're trying to steal someone's identity and personal information because they're really up to no good. And
Yeah.
it's tough. And I can understand your frustration, bro, because back to your point, there's nothing more frustrating than when you need help and you're trying to get let's be honest. We hate talking to computers. We hate getting just kind of form letter messages back.
Yeah.
Right. We want to talk to somebody. We want to be able to really, if nothing else, complain,
Yeah.
but also to elicit sympathy for our situation. And you just don't get that from recorded messages or frequently asked questions that are just posted on a forum.
And I think one of the most frustrating things for me is that I am a computer savvy person. Even though I'm in my late 40s, we grew up in a time where we grew up, bro, you and me, in that golden age where we're on the tail end of no computers and the beginning end of the computer age.
Right.
There was a time in our lives when there were no personal computers.
Mm-hmm.
RJ, you're still young enough to where that was never part of your lifeline. You've had personal computers in your life since you were a kid. Your dad has always had a personal computer at the house since you were born. So you'll never know a world, maybe personally, where you never have access to a computer. Now the mode and the speed and all that good stuff of the computers
Yeah.
have gotten better with age.
Yeah.
But even when you were a baby, your dad had a computer at the house. He had a desktop computer with dial up.
To age myself and really to age our peers, there was a time when we actually typed our
typewriters,
essays and term papers on a typewriter
with duplicate sheets behind it to make copies. That's how we make copies. But my point is that even though I'm in my late 40s, I am very computer savvy. I'm very tech savvy. I spend a lot of time um, researching the latest trends when it comes to technology, and
Mhm.
not because I want to go buy cool gear. I'm not trying to make myself out to be Iron Man or anything, but I do want to keep up with the times in terms of, like right now, the big boom that we've been talking about for weeks on end now, crypto. You
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a newer technology that is just coming into vogue, and it's one of those things where I want to know everything about it. So, do my research. How is it mined? How do you do it? What's going on with it? And so we follow trends, and we follow, whether it's a good investment, and blah 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 blah. So I am a computer savvy person. I'm a tech savvy person. So it's more than frustrating to me to not be able to find an answer that I need, because I am so used to, if there's something wrong in my life, and you know what, I've trained people for years. I've been a trainer for years. And I always tell people this when I'm training them. I don't expect you to know the answers, but I expect you to know where to find the answers. And that's something that I live by, is that I expect myself to know how to find the answers. And even if that means asking for help, I don't mind asking for help. That's one of the biggest mistakes that we as humans make, is that we don't ask for help when we need it. you
Yeah.
know and I'm asking, I'm trying to figure out, who the hell am I supposed to ask for help when there's nobody around to answer the questions. There's no, I mean, your AI is gotten good, but it's not that good yet to where we can't figure this out, man.
So, in summary, Zuckerberg, you bet you get your ass on the ball.
Hell yeah, dude, get your shit together,
Otherwise,
Zuckerberg.
otherwise, Jay from the Now That You Mentioned podcast is gonna come looking for you.
Hey, all I'm gonna don't be surprised if his Facebook goes missing next.
Hey, you know what, if my Facebook gets shut down, bro, it won't be the worst thing in the world
All
for
of a
me.
No,
sudden,
I know.
there's going to be
This
a
is
number of black Tahoes rolling up in front of his house, and
this
California license plates on him.
this has
yeah,
actually kind of been a bit of a problem, I think, for some people. Yeah, Facebook and Instagram, that sometimes their accounts get just deleted, not even hacked, right? Like, let's say you post something controversial, not anything super vulgar, but just something controversial, and people report it. And in some cases, people's profiles have been uh, deleted, and it takes them weeks to get it back. And I mean,
well, and
on the
what's
one hand, it's
frustrating
like,
there
what do you
is,
do? I mean, social media, while I'm somewhat active on it, I don't know that I'd be super upset. I might be a little upset, of course, that I got deleted, but I mean, at the same time, to have to build something from scratch would be, who wants to do that? And in her industry, like you said, before social media, yeah, you had people who did nails and hair, that kind of thing from home, but it was really just a word of mouth type of thing, only
Yeah.
people they knew. Now you have people who, because of social media, they do nails, hair, whatever cosmetic from their house, and it's their career, because people find them on Instagram, book with them. They don't have to pay, rent at a traditional retail space. So, I mean, yeah, regardless of whether you work in an actual retail space or at home, you've got to always be kind of posting to show your latest work, and like, hey, here's what I can do. And also, especially like if you're trying new stuff and it came out really well.
Well, and in terms of, in the restaurant industry, we used to have a chart, and it's something that's still readily available out there, but it talks about the power of what a positive or negative review can do for a person, and how that can become exponential in your business, because all it takes is one person to have a good or a bad experience to influence up to 20,000 other people, because one person is going to tell their 10 friends, who are going to tell their 10 friends, who are going to tell their 10 friends. And before you know it, that one positive or negative review, whether it's warranted or not, has now affected 20,000 people.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like a big number, and but it is. It's what it is. That's why you have so many companies that work to keep their reviews positive. And that's why you have companies there's been a cottage industry built on helping to remove negative comments from the likes of Yelp. or Google reviews or anything like that, because those reviews can make or break a business. And it works the other way when it comes to positive reviews. Those positive reviews can make or break a business. And like I said, like you said, RJ, having to build that again from scratch after 15 years of having that foothold, dude, that's a killer for somebody.
Yeah, and I mean, even someone like me who, I think I have a pretty good knowledge of um, who I follow, because I don't traditionally follow um, a ton of people, or at least I try not to as much as possible. And for instance, I might go follow my favorite Luca, right? I follow Luca, but if Luca ever leaves the Mavericks, the reality is I am going to go and follow him, not because I am necessarily rooting against him, but at that point he's no longer a part of my team. Yeah. So
then why haven't you unfollowed LeBron?
Okay, anyways, so what we're not going to do is that. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is,
jokes.
I mean, but at the same time, I can't sit here and tell you that if I had to start from scratch, I can remember everybody that I followed. Yeah. And even if I followed, LeBron, there's going to be a top celebrity that I forget. Yeah. It's just the reality, because my first inclination is going to be, I need to reconnect with friends and family first, the people that I know. And then I'll think about the accounts that I want to follow, the sports centers, those things of the world. So, I mean, even for a celebrity, someone who's got thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, to have to restart all the way from the beginning,
They ain't hurting.
I'm not.
Yeah. Well, I have two observations.
Yeah.
First, Jay, when you said about the impact of positive or negative reviews, and you said they'll tell two friends and two friends and two friends, it made me think of the old Suave. I think it was Suave commercial, where they used to. It was one of the hair care products or beauty products where that was their actual slogan.
Yeah,
was they wanted you to get you to try their product, and then by word of mouth, it's going to spread. And that was their slogan. And they'll tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and so on and so on and so on. The other thing is, going back to your early observation about me and my lack of a social presence, or just my flat out ignoring it. Someone probably could have hacked or shut down my Facebook page, and I wouldn't know for about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Because that's about how often I check it.
Let me ask you last thing before we, I know we got to get on to other things, but I know you did your research, Facebook emails, like you said. Did you come across anybody? Obviously, there's been other people who have experienced this. Did you come across any articles about how to?
I found some stuff on. So when you Google everything, it pretty much every Google search that I did for hacked and taking over accounts leads back to the Facebook page. And on the top searches, I mean, you're unless you're willing to sit there and scroll through about 9 pages of Google results. Yeah, I can honestly say the first 3 pages of Google's results are all from Facebook articles on how to get this done. So unless you're willing to deep dive, if you have the time to deep dive into page 6 or 7 of a Google search, but I did find some stuff on YouTube, some YouTube videos. So when we're done here tonight, I'm going to go on and try to see if some of those YouTube hacks work to try to cover this account. I mean, I know this. That we're not the first person this has happened to. I know that she's not the first one who's had her account taken over and hacked. It was, you're right. It has happened to other people, but
was it the Russians?
You know what? It may have been, man.
Wow.
It was China Joe.
Yeah, it was China Joe, bastard. He's trying to steal the 2024 election already.
No, it was Donald Trumpas.
Hey. Hey, did you hear he for commercial real estate guys? Did you hear he they took out a loan on his biggest asset, $1.2 billion?
Got to pay back that bank.
No, because he'll figure out how to file some sort of bankruptcy, and he'll clog it all up with attorneys, and he'll probably pay back a fifth of it, and then just he'll figure a way.
It was the Bank of America building in San Francisco, I think it was. They said it's the largest holding in his assets. That it equates to about a third of his $2.6 billion net worth.
Wow!
Damn!
Wow!
One building.
Well, and that's we can talk about that topic, in another episode, but it just still it's mind-boggling how expensive real estate has become, and not only from the residential side, what you were talking about earlier, Jay, and as we mentioned, or as we were talking off or backstage about the WFAA report that came out, about a buyer offering $300,000 over asking just so they could guarantee they could win that property and buy it. I mean,
in about a year, that person's gonna be kicking themselves in the ass. Going,
well,
what
not
necessarily,
bro. Because here's the thing. Depending on where they came, you never know what the profile of a buyer is, right? And so you just get what's reported, and sometimes, again, even the information there is incomplete. But it was like I was telling you that sometimes you have buyers coming into this market from out of state that have a ton of cash because they sold their houses back where they're from, and they made a ton of money. And so, I mean, it's like if you're competing for a property and you see what you want, like if you find the perfect house for you, Jay, and you were just so in love with that house and you really, really had to have it, you probably would way overpay to get it, even though, in an otherwise different circumstance, you would never do that.
Yeah.
Right. But if you've got the money and you got to compete and you want to guarantee, because you might not find, the next house you find may not be exactly what you wanted. I mean, very rarely do you find the perfect situation, right? Almost every house is going to have something. Whether you don't like the yard, whether you don't like the kitchen, whether you don't like the bedroom, something that over time you're probably going to fix, change, upgrade, modify. Man,
I still couldn't get over how many houses we saw that still had carpet all over them. I just don't get that.
Well, I mean, some people like carpet, but anyway, yeah, again, that's too bad. Tell Diana we're real sorry that you guys are having to go through that.
Hopefully, I'll have something better to report by tomorrow.
By next week, hopefully by next week you've got the account back. But
hopefully Mark Zuckerberg will pick up the phone and call you directly, apologize to you, and personally look into seeing how he's going to help you recover that page. And not only do that, but also bring up charges against the person that hacked your account. That's what I'm hoping for. That's the optimal.
Mark Zuckerberg is probably about as useless as a politician in that sense. The only time he cares about you is when it's going to benefit him. Other than that, who? Jesse.
Well, Jen,
never heard of him.
So let's move on to another one of our topics for tonight. One of the things that I thought about us talking is what we're going to call superstition talk, right? I think I'll kind of lay the groundwork on this first by talking about, unfortunately, the Texas Rangers got no hit again earlier this week.
By a former Ranger.
Kluber, right?
Corey Kluber, yeah.
And they were giving away bobbleheads. They were giving away the Corey Kluber bobbleheads.
He pitched like 3 innings last year, pulled an oblique or whatever, and was out for the rest of the year.
I was going to say, I thought it was only 1 inning.
I thought so too.
It may have been 1 inning. I don't know. It wasn't even a full game he pitched. It might have been an inning. It might have been 3. But he only pitched part of 1 game for the Rangers. pulled something and then decided, F this. I don't want to be pitching in this 100-degree heat, and went away to the freaking Yankees.
Well, so as often happens, anytime a pitcher is starts to get in that zone, and whenever the kind of the rumblings of a no hitter in progress are on the line, it's protocol now for all the other players in the dugout to leave the pitcher alone, right? Yeah,
First of all, let me stop you right there. As a lifelong baseball person, this is not new protocol. There's two things you don't do when a no-hitter is happening. A, you don't talk about the no-hitter. You don't mention it. There's no breath of it, no anything. You do not talk about the no-hitter. And two, you don't approach the pitcher. That dude sits on an island in the dugout, and you just leave him the F alone. Those are the two things that need to happen during a no-hitter.
But both of those things are rooted in superstition.
Right? Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's because you don't want to jinx it. You don't want, and we have this fundamental thought process that by doing that, you interject negative energy, and you're the cause of breaking up the no-hitter, even though in reality, there's a greater than zero probability that the other guys on the other team are really good and they accidentally get a hit in, right?
So I'm going to give you the biggest superstition jinx. Let's put it at the biggest jinx in Dallas-Fort Worth sports history. Do you know what it is?
Oh, yes.
What is it, RJ? Tell them.
It's Joe Buck calling the Rangers winning the World Series in Game 6.
It wasn't Joe Buck.
Oh, who was it?
It was WFAA tweeted on their Twitter account with 2 outs left that the Rangers had won the World Series.
I knew it had something to do with the Rangers.
No, it wasn't even 2 outs. It was 1 out left. They had one out left, and the batter had 2 strikes on him. And WFAA tweeted on their Twitter, Rangers win the World Series. And then pinche, what's his name? Freeze hits a freaking 9th inning, David 2 out, 2 strike home run to extend the game, and the Rangers go on to lose in extra innings.
Yeah,
that's the biggest jinx in Rangers history, in Dallas sports history.
Well, so with that, easily, RJ's kind of young. I don't think that he has any, but Jay, how about you maybe share with us one or two of your superstitions that you still keep intact today?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, one of the biggest things is like this guy here. Let me show him to you.
Okay.
Has been with me for every podcast that we've done since I started. He's a little turtle who sits on my little desk here. And he I don't know, I just always seem to like I have to have him on my desk right by my computer when we're doing the podcast. And the 2 times or actually the handful of times that he hasn't been here, he's like been on the other side of the room. The internet's gone out. I forget to hit start on running the podcast.
On
little
recording,
things like that. Yeah. But there's always a bunch of little things. Like for me, I will use the same coin to scratch off tickets, and up until they lose. Like for me, what I'll do is I might go buy like $20 worth of scratch offs, and I'll use the same coin to scratch. And if I get winners, I'll use that same coin until I have no more winners and there's nothing else out of it, and then I just move on to a different coin. Because in my mind, that coin has lost its mojo. But I mean, there's always little things like that, to this day, and this one's going to sound stupid, but they always used to say, step on a crack, break your mother's back. I don't step on cracks.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't step on cracks. And when you step onto a baseball diamond, you don't step on the chalk. Yeah. You have to jump the chalk on the first or third base line, wherever you're coming from. You don't step on the chalk. it's little things like that that are, superstitions like that that I still kind of abide by.
Are there any superstitions that you partake in when watching a sports game?
Not recently. Here in the last couple of years, Dallas sports hasn't really had a reason to have a superstition. Now, the last time that I really was superstitious was during the 2011 Mavs run.
Mm-hmm.
I could not, while watching the game on TV, I couldn't listen to the broadcast on TV. I had to have the radio on. Like, for me, that was the thing, is like, I felt like if I started watching on TV and I had the TV broadcast on, man, the Mavs are down. I turned the sound down and I put the radio on. Oh, here come the Mavs. We're coming back. That was, that's really the last time I can remember a sports superstition that I've adhered to. But yeah, I mean, here in the last, several years, there just hasn't been a reason to have a superstition.
Well, what about you, RJ?
I wouldn't say I'm necessarily superstitious. I do, I'm not gonna, at the same time, I'm not the person who's gonna be like, oh, F walking under a ladder, nothing's gonna happen to me. I'm not that type of person either, but I'm certainly not, dodging every crack in the sidewalk. Not because I don't care about my mother, but that one's just not one that I partake in.
I'm gonna tell your mom he's purposely stepping on cracks, so when your back hurts, that's him.
But obviously, don't want to break a mirror, things like that. But I'm trying to think. I would say like sports, obviously 2011 Mavs run, when we were watching it at the house, I know you remember me at during certain games being like, oh, I've got to go get my Dirk jersey. Oh, I'm sitting in the wrong chair. That's where I was sitting last game when we won. Things like that, and when after the fact, I look back at them and I'm like, okay, it had nothing to, like, where I sat had nothing to do with the Mavs winning, but in the moment,
Dirk driving by Adonis Haslam had nothing to do with where your butt was parked.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just something about in the moment where you can't help for some people, of course. I couldn't help but feel like, you
were doing your part to help the Mavericks, dude.
Yeah, trying to do my part to help the Mavericks, exactly. So.
Yeah, put out that positive mojo, right?
Yeah, I guess the other one, non-sports related, I would say I probably partake in is the knock on wood thing. Don't.
Oh yeah, I still do that too.
I do that all the time.
I do too.
That's crazy. Whenever, even if I'm just being speculative about something that I hope happens, just for the sake of not jinxing it, knocking on wood. What else, man? I see, like, I don't know if you would call this superstitious, but I do keep a St. Christopher prayer card on the dash of my vehicle. He's a patron saint of travel men and journeys, things like that. So
yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily would say. I mean, that's hard to say whether or not I would call that superstition, but I will say this: that I do believe that some of our superstitions are rooted in our belief system, right? In our religion. And I'm going to show something here. So can you guys see this?
Yeah.
You know what this is, right?
Yep. It's a coin purse.
That's right. It's the old style coin purse. And what's in this coin purse, it's going to be hard for you guys to see here. But
I know what's in there.
What do you know what's in there?
What's in there.
What
coins that grandma gave you that she had blessed?
Precisely.
That she had given to you in a little red bag, because she gave me one too.
That's right.
Like the little red bag wore Bear because you had it for so long, and so he put everything in that coin purse.
So you're exactly right, bro. Our grandmother was a
deeply
very religious, very spiritual person, and she was a firm believer in prayer. She was a firm believer in having, you could theoretically categorize these as good luck charms, right?
Yeah.
She was a firm believer. Every time we would open a new store under the Dallas Tortilla Factory, she personally would have to bless it before we actually opened for business. And that means she would come in, she would bring holy water, she would pray. There were a few things we had to have. Do you remember the garlic clove thing, Jay?
The string of garlic?
Yeah, the street, yeah. And a cross, obviously, and a couple of and a horseshoe, believe it or not. It's not as weird as that sounds, but part of this is, believe it or not, I'll freak out at times if I mean, there've only been a handful of times that I've misplaced this, but it has happened, and I will literally freak out until I find it. Right. And you know, I think more it's because of the things that are in here because they came from our grandmother.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, but I carry it with me everywhere, every day. Doesn't matter if I'm wearing, you know, shorts, jogging pants, you know, sweats or whatever. I figure out how to make sure it's in my pocket, or if not with me, it's in the car. So a lot of my superstitions kind of are rooted in that.
Yeah.
The knock on wood thing, simply because, you know, one of the things in real estate, when I was a very young broker, talking about my my calculators again, was that someone once told me never calculate your commission until the deal is done.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're going to jinx it. You know, I have to admit, I've done it more than several times of calculating commissions and all that stuff well before a deal is done. But early on, that was something I wouldn't do. I was like, you know, oh, you got to wait till it's closed. You got to wait till it's closed. You got to wait till it's closed. As far as sports superstitions, I don't think I've ever had a consistent one. There are times when I have either put on my Cowboys jersey, and if the Cowboys were playing incredibly terrible that day, I would take it off in hopes that maybe by doing that would kind of reverse their luck a little bit. But I really didn't have anything hardcore as far as that. But the one thing that I will do, and this is again rooted in grandma, is that if a black cat crosses in front of my path, I say 3 prayers that grandma taught me when I was younger. And I'll still do that today.
Do you remember what her superstition used to be when we were driving around with her?
Which one? You talking about when she would bless herself when we drove by a church?
Every time we drove by a church, she would say a little prayer and she would bless herself.
Yep.
Like it didn't matter. She could be in the middle of a conversation. You drove by a church.
You're absolutely right about that.
That was her superstition, right?
It doesn't matter. She could be talking to you, and you're exactly right. If she saw a church out the corner of her eye, she would stop mid-sentence and start her prayers.
I will say I have partook in the swapping of jerseys during the Cowboys game. Oh no, I need to put on the white one this week.
No,
versus the navy blues.
I often wonder about people, and I guess I don't know how much of this is in the person's mind psychologically born out of superstition or just born out of habit. But like for me, when I put my car keys and my wallet and my little back wallet, I always have to put them together in the same place, whether it's in my closet or whether it's on my desk. If they're not together, it bugs me.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you that I don't know that that's necessarily superstition, because I'm actually the same way, bro. That I have this habit that I always put, like when I get home from work, I take off my watch and my ring, and I always put them in the same exact place. Same thing with my key ring and my wallet. I put them in the same exact place. And I think that's just out of habit, because then that way, when I'm looking for it, I know where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right. And it's funny that, you've trained yourself to do that. And I'm going to get in trouble for saying this on the podcast, but my wife sometimes has a bad habit of leaving her keys in her little purse, just kind of anywhere where that's convenient at the moment. And then later on, we've torn up the house looking for a key fob or, her driver's license. And, and I, it's the worst time to always bring it up, but you always happen to say, well, this wouldn't happen if you would always put it in the same exact place.
But then you get the death glare.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It's the wrong time to bring that up, right? It's never a good time to bring it up, but
as you're okay
in that moment.
As a newlywed, RJ, has your wife developed a death stare yet for you?
I'm not gonna comment on that.
He's gonna refrain from.
I plead the fifth. I will not incriminate myself.
Dude, it's just a fact of life, man.
I was gonna say you might as well get used to it. I mean,
no, I know. I'm just playing. Well, I mean, I think anybody who's in a long-term committed relationship has that. Just because you're gonna make quips at times you probably shouldn't, and that's the consequence for doing that. So,
well, and that's another telltale sign that they love you, because they still forgive you for all those times that you step on that last nerve, no matter how raw it is,
and all your moments of stupidity.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And believe me, it's your fault.
Oh, it's always my fault.
Always your fault.
What about this one for you, Uncle Jay? Because you're a big baseball fan. Do you partake in the rally cap?
No, I always thought the rally cap was kind of dumb. I never saw the appeal of the rally cap. I'm always more, I guess you just want to say traditional, and maybe in sports, a type of or in-game kind of superstitions, not so much as from a fan point of view, but from a player point of view, like the whole not stepping on the chalk when you step onto the field, the whole not talking to a pitcher when he's in the midst of of a perfect game, or even just not even mentioning the perfect game, because you feel like the first guy who walks in go, man, you realize that you haven't given up a hit in 5 innings is going to get hit with a glove or a bat or something on the way in the dugout.
Well, it's going to knock the shit out that dude.
But yeah, I mean, I never saw the value of the rally cap.
Well, and growing up a Rangers fan, it didn't really help anyway, because
you're already down 13. Or
well, no, the Rangers, it just, for whatever reason, we just never seemed to be a comeback team.
He's not wrong.
Not until after the.
I said he's not wrong.
Well, not until Johnny Oates. I felt like that team, starting with him and then Wash, for whatever reason, those teams, they could come from behind and win a game. But long before that, and to be quite honest with you, ever since, not so much.
And honestly, baseball is really the biggest, if not only, sport out there that really has those kind of superstitions.
Yeah.
There's no superstition for a quarterback who's 20 for 20 with 400 yards. You don't have anybody going up to him going, man, you're killing it. I don't really know of, honestly, any real superstitions out there for any other sports other than baseball.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think what he's trying to say is there's no like league-wide type of superstition the way the perfect game thing is. Like each individual player, like I think Russell Westbrook has a superstition.
I'm sure they all have their own superstitions, but
that's relative. That's only his superstition.
Yeah, I mean that's akin to a player eating the same meal before every game, because that's their, that's how they've always done it. I always have the same meal before every game, and or I always take the same route to work to the ballpark every day or to the stadium every day, kind of deal. But you're right, there really isn't like any league-wide notable superstitions in any other sports that I can think of.
I can't either.
Maybe touching gloves at the beginning of a boxing match. I mean, I don't really. I think that's just good sportsmanship more than superstition.
Yeah, I agree with you because they didn't. I don't recall them touching gloves in the Canelo fight. Did they? The beginning of the Canelo fight, I don't remember them touching gloves.
I don't think so because I think, like you said, that's usually a sign of sportsmanship, and I think Billy Joe Saunders has been running his mouth and trying to get under Canelo's skin a little too much for Canelo to want to touch gloves with him. But don't quote me on that. Have to go back check the tape. So maybe, I mean, the only sport I can think of that may have one that the reason I would bring it up is hockey, but that's because the three of us aren't really into hockey. So how would we really know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, at the beginning of a game after like a warm up, you'll tend to see the all the players on the ice walk over and touch the goalie's pads with their sticks. Yeah. That might be one.
Yeah.
I know during the Stars playoff run last year, one of the things that you could say was superstition was a Stars player would always try to be the last one off the ice. Like literally, Tyler Seguin would go into the tunnel, wait till the other team's guy got off, till no one was on the ice, get on for like a second, skate around, and then head back into the tunnel. Just to be the last player off the ice.
I think you might consider playoff beard superstition.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Yeah,
that's true.
I think the playoff beard is a good one for hockey. But I mean, other than those, man, I really just can't think of any universal superstitions for any sports other than baseball.
Well, maybe not for an entire league, but you both guys would know and appreciate the bad luck blues that the Cowboys
those the blue uniforms with the single stars on the shoulder pads.
Oh man, and to be honest with you, to me those were some of the best looking unis that they had, but for whatever reason, they just never seemed to win when they wore them.
Well, I think that had more to do with Tony Romo's mindset than anything else.
Dude, they were the bad luck blues before Tony Romo was even in the league. Those go back to the late Tom Landry teams.
I don't think you're giving Quincy Carter a fair shake.
Who?
Q Car, homie.
Who? Did he actually ever play for the Cowboys?
Oh, okay, gotcha. Why are you trying to delete a part of your team's natural history?
Cowboy history.
I had amnesia during those years. I don't know what you're talking about.
Whatever. Had amnesia during those years. Quincy Carter.
Oh my gosh, man! I mean, there's so many. I mean, we don't need to go down these rabbit holes. About the mediocrity of certain Cowboys teams and coaches and all that stuff. But we'll save that for another day.
Superstition Turtle. He doesn't believe you.
It's funny you have that, bro, because I mean, real quick, I mean, a few more minutes before we wrap this one up. I actually, in keeping with some of the things that Grandma used to do, can you guys see what this is right here?
It's a marble.
No, it's a tiger's eye. It's a tiger's eye.
Dude, Peter's going to be all over you for the fact that you have a tiger's eye in your hand.
Carol Baskin is.
It's a gem, knuckleheads. It's a rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if you guys do stuff like this, but Like I keep this is a quartz rock. I mean the
That one
light.
doesn't- yeah, the other one doesn't show.
You know
it.
what's funny? Now that you're talking about rocks,
Now that you mention it,
no,
Yeah, now that I mention it.
when I first started at my company, I used to have a customer that would come in with her granddaughter,
Mhm.
and
Keep going.
a couple of times, the little, the granddaughter would always talk to me. I mean, she's probably 3 years old. And one time she brought me a rock.
Uh-huh.
And she gave me a rock. She said, "Here, this is for you." So I drew a little face on it. I put a little a smiley face on it, and I wrote Chuck on the back of it. So I named the rock Chuck. Because you chuck a rock. That's what you do with it.
oh my god,
But
Chuck a rock. That's a good
that was almost 4 years ago, and that rock still sits on my desk at work. It's there.
yeah?
It's been there every day, and it just kind of stays there. And I've had different like bosses, district managers come in and say, "Hey, you're not supposed to have stuff on your desk," and blah 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 blah. And they tell me to take the rock down, and I'm like, "No." And they ask me why, and I tell them, "Well, because it was a gift from a customer. I'm not gonna disrespect a customer like that." Why do you have is that a jellyfish?
Yep.
What
I've
kind of
actually
weird collections are you rolling through over there, dude?
Well, first of all, these are gifts that are given to me. Some of them are, and I mean, my desk here, I've got a number of.
do you have the shark one?
Yeah, I'm gonna show him. Let me show him the shark.
I gave him one of those jellyfish, and this.
Oh wow. Oh, is that the hammerhead shark you have?
I don't think this one's a hammerhead.
It might be. I don't know.
Oh,
No, I don't think this one's a
I
hammerhead.
thought you had like a mini hammerhead in a jelly solution like that.
No, but I mean, I've got several jellyfish. I've got. I
Speaking
don't
of
know.
sharks, you remember Dad used to have that shark tooth necklace, bro?
Yeah, I do.
I wonder
I've
whatever
got-
happened to that.
This one's a cube from Caesars, and the light. I'm sorry, the light reflection is.
No, I see. You can see it from there.
Did Caesar actually live there?
Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's.
Y'all don't know what that's from?
No.
What?
The Hangover?
Oh my God, the Caesar actually lived there.
Oh Lord.
No, but my desk here in my home office is. I mean, I've got all kinds of rocks and little trinkets like that, marbles that my kids have given me. Maybe not superstition per se, but stuff that you just hang on to.
Yeah.
No, one of the things we were going to talk about, and this is maybe a little silly, but I got them, is, these little Superman and Batman figurines. I've got a number of these things sitting
Well,
on my
that's
desk.
just because you're a little kid playing with toys. That's the only reason why you have those.
This is JJ. This is Rolando. Shut up.
Oh,
You're right. Let me play with my toys. Well, boys, we're just over that hour mark. So it's been another interesting and fun episode. It's good to talk nonsense with you guys, have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Superstition talk was fun, and of course, JJ dressing down Mark Zuckerberg. That was
Zuckerberg, get your shit together, man.
whoa. You better hope he never buys YouTube and shuts us down just to get back at you,
Just to
dude.
fight Jay.
Hey, if he wants to stop us,
Jay.
he's gonna have to buy Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast too.
Damn.
Well, I think Podbean will be an easy one for
Yeah,
him
that's
to
weird.
acquire.
That's messed up.
No disrespect
Podbean, we
to
love you,
Podbean, I'm just
Podbean.
saying.
Okay. Fun times. Well, guys, we really appreciate your time again. Tuning in with us, listening to us babble and spit out all kinds of crazy opinions and non-facts that we can't prove any of it. But hey, at least we had fun spending time with each other and spending time with you. So as we shut this one down, we want to remind you, as JJ so kindly pointed out, which will probably be on Mark Zuckerberg's ledger at some point here in the near future. Check us out on iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. Well, he may not be able to get Apple
No,
But,
definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and Spotify.
Yeah, because the CEO of Apple hates him anyway.
Wow, man. JD's got some really hot sports opinions.
He does that. We'll save that for another. So that's a whole nother topic.
Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button here on our YouTube page. If you feel so inclined, please drop us a couple messages, observations, thoughts, comments. Oh, and by the way, I've been touting Topo Chico. All of us have for a while now, but we're not feeling the love. So if you guys have another sparkling water you might want us to try, drop it in the comments below. I'm willing to go out there and find a sparkling water that believes in the Now That You Mention It podcast.
Damn, he's already ready to jump ship. Damn.
Dude, how many episodes out of the 52 have we, no, I still love you, Topo Chico. Anyway, so don't forget to also check out our Facebook. Hopefully it doesn't get hacked like Jay. And, then we, Zuckerberg, maybe that's his revenge on us, bro, for you calling him out, is he might shut down our Facebook page. So you might want to go in there and visit that as quickly as you can, because we don't know how much longer it'll be up. Thanks to Jay. And check out Reddit, Instagram, TikTok. And, of course, you can go to the nowthatyoumentioned.org website and click the links on any one of those formats, because RJ, this guy right here, has set that up for you. So with that being said, for Jay and RJ, I'm Roll. Good night. Oh, and thank you to Jesse P, because we couldn't do it without you.
Amen, Pops.
Amen. Good night.
Night, boys.